Hello and welcome to Granada Reports.
Hello there. On the programme this Friday evening.
A special report from Mosside. We see the work that's making communities safer and look back at the history of gun crime and gang violence, which still casts its shadow over these streets.
My dad was a farmer. I might have grown up being a farmer. If he was a policeman, I might have grown up being a policeman. But I didn't. I grew up around gangs and crime and poverty.
40 years of helping the homeless, and now the Lifeshare charity is asking for help themselves, just to make it to Christmas.
The groundbreaking brass band from Buxton, who'll be playing their way through their own 160-year history at a special concert.
And in the weather, we're going all Mary Poppins and flying high at St Anne's International Kite Festival. Join me for the full weekend forecast coming up shortly.
Well, first tonight, we end this week as we started it with a special report from Mosside in Manchester. It is an area that became synonymous with gun crime and gang violence in the 80s and 90s.
It developed a reputation that's been hard to shift, despite work done in the community to change things for the better.
Well, on Monday, we heard from the families of 3 young people whose lives were cut short due to violence on the streets. Here's a reminder of what they had to say.
When people see that someone's been shot or killed, they see a face. Do you think they understand how devastating it is for the family?
I think people know, because when they see me, you could see their faces, you could see the sorrow that they have for me.
My niece rang me and she said he's in hospital, they're trying to work on him, and I got another call. I knew it. She said he's gone.
They say time is a healer, but whoever said that is a liar. Because with every day that passes is another day that you don't get to see your child.
Well, tonight we look back to the origins of the violence, how it's shaped generations since, and how Mosside moves on once and for all. Tasha Kachiri has tonight's top story.
Benji Stanley was in Alvino's takeaway on Great Western Street when the assassin moved in. First, a bullet from a pump-action shotgun shattered the glass door. A second shot in the face, the third and fatal one at close quarters through the chest.
I just remember seeing the big hole. I looked and ran out. I ran so fast that I ran home.
Dwayne Bellamy joined the Gooch gang at 16 after 2 traumatic events. His brother was killed, then his best friend, Benji Stanley.
Less than an hour, everyone was saying he was dead. That was... I'd like to say that was the only thing that I'd seen that was bad in my life, but it was, little did I know, it was just the beginning of a lot more.
At the time, 14-year-old Benji was the youngest person to be shot dead in Manchester, fueling the city's reputation as Gunchester. Would you say that you joined the gang for revenge then?
Yeah.
Do you feel like you accomplished that?
What I'd say in this whole thing, because there's a lot of lives been lost on both sides, needlessly.
Dwayne now works with at-risk youth, encouraging them to take a different path. He says the issue of gangs are everywhere.
There's gangs all over. So I'm going to these schools and I'm meeting boys and girls, and they're not all, that's another thing to throw out, like it's people of our colour. No, they're not. They're white as well. They're Asian. They're all wrapped up into this gang life.
I was born at number 11, Doddington Close, right there.
Gavin and Neville joined the rival gang Doddington after Gavin was shot 5 times, both men losing close friends to the violence and spending time in prison. They still carry the emotional and physical scars.
If my dad was a farmer, I might have grown up being a farmer. If he was a policeman, I might have grown up being a policeman. But I didn't. I grew up around gangs and crime and poverty. So I was a product of my environment.
It's called Brentwood now, but this is Doddington Close, isn't it?
So they've just got rid of Doddington Close to try and exterminate the name, the name of the gangs.
Over there as well, the name over there.
Yeah, it's not called Gooch Close anymore. We were And kids now, they're disenfranchised, if that's the word. They don't think anyone gives a heck about them, so therefore they don't give a heck about anyone or themselves even.
It's not even just Mosside, everywhere in general, isn't it? Kids dying everywhere, it's sad, it's sad. Kids, you know, and then the kids that have killed them, they're losing their lives and their family are going through, so it's like, they don't realise what they're doing, do they?
At the height of Mosside's gang war, police say there could be 6 shootings a week. Now, shootings are rare, the result of a proactive community and police working together.
We've targeted the young. We go into the schools, we go into the colleges. They don't see us as the enemy. They see us as here to help and work. Unfortunately, the community are still kind of suffering from that negative impact of 20 and even 30 years ago, where Mosside simply isn't that place anymore.
While Mosside has changed, for the young people living here today, violence is still never far away.
I've lost 2 cousins to knife crime, and yeah, it's heartbreaking to watch someone grow up and have hopes for them. And for example, my cousin didn't even get to make it to an older age where I can know what careers he's going to do, having the children. And my other cousin that passed away, Clarence, he had a little boy, so it is really sad, it's tragic. And it just makes you worried for the future, what can we do as a community to make things better?
Shola has lived in Mosside all her life. AJ and Michael moved here a few years ago.
It's an amazing community. We've got a lot of things going on for the young people as well. But there's always these things about Mosside and Rusholme, and it's violence and when it comes to young people as well.
Why do you think this is happening?
There's not just one cause for it, and I feel like it's just something that we all have to come together and put all our opinions and minds to actually solve it.
What are your hopes for the future?
That everyone can just come together, no knives, no violence.
For all these children that I'm watching grow to be able to make it, to have families, to go to uni, chase their goals.
This is a community with a lot of grief, but even more hope. One that will continue to fight for its children.
Well, joining us now in the studio is Professor Irinma Bell, who's a peace activist and who's worked so hard in Mosside over the years. Irinma, really good to see you, Professor. Firstly, it's fair to say that Mosside has been on the journey over the last 30 to 40 years. Your reflections on what we've seen in that community in that time?
We've seen a lot of change. Mosside, as we know, maybe in the 70s, 80s, was a great place to be, very vibrant, very multicultural. Then all of a sudden, it kind of went downhill when we had, unfortunately, all the violent street crime, the gun crime, that was quite prevalent in South Manchester then, and more so in Mosside. And Mosside actually got the blame for a lot of the ones that were not even in Mosside. But then, we've done a lot of work in the community. A lot of grassroots groups and individuals have actually done a lot of work where we've worked together. We've worked with our young people, we've worked with the families and with, the local and central government and the police to actually bring about a real change within the community, which is what we managed to do. A lot of, funds and money was put into the area as well because people thought a lot of stuff was missing. And there has been some real change. All the key stakeholders they've actually stepped up to the mark and decided, enough is enough, and we are going to try our best to do something for our young people so that they can have a better tomorrow and they can dream about tomorrow. So Mosside has really changed. Unfortunately, we still have that stigma, that violent stigma around us, but it has changed for the better.
It's really difficult, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Changing mindsets and even the supply of guns, which we hear is, going up around the country. How difficult is it to carry on?
Well, the thing is, one of the things that we did years ago, Charisma, we were saying to central government that we were, especially with the supply of guns, we were targeting the wrong people about the supply of guns and asking the wrong questions. Because remember, this is a country where guns are illegal. And the young people that were being found with guns, they are not the ones that are smuggling the guns into the country. So if you were going to cut off, the supply of guns, we had to start looking at the route as to where it is they were coming from.
And did you help them with that?
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Good stuff.
We did. It took us 6 years to bring gun crime to the top of the government's agenda, but we managed to do it, being that pressure group.
We heard from former gang members talking about young people feeling isolated. How much is that still a factor when it comes to young people of today?
I think young people of today, some may feel isolated, but I don't think they're as isolated as what they were, because it's about what the responsible adults need to do around our youth, around our young people, is actually communicate with them, get to understand them, get to understand the world that all of us, including our young people, are living in.
Are they still suspicious of the police, though?
Well, yes, because, you know, we don't have a very good track record with the police. However, the police have worked really hard in working with our young people. They go into schools as well. They engage with young people. They come into our youth clubs, because our young people are not a species that drop from nowhere. We shouldn't be afraid of them. We should be engaging with them and communicating with them, and that's how we get to understand them.
And just briefly, Professor, I mean, how would you sum up Mosside right now as a community?
As a community, Mosside is a place where a lot of people want to live, where we do look out for each other, we do feel for each other. So don't get me wrong, there's a lot of, you know, community trauma. However, it's a community where we do look out for each other. We want the best, not only for ourselves, but for our young people. And it's a brilliant place to live. Many people are coming back and want to live in Mosside. Fantastic place to be.
Professor Erin Mabel, all power to your work. Thanks ever so much.
You're welcome, thank you.
Next tonight, to the charity in Manchester celebrating 40 years of helping homeless people in the city.
Yes, Lifeshare Manchester provide food, accommodation and support to people when they need it most. They were instrumental in bringing the big issue to Manchester and launched their breakfast project in 1994, which now feeds up to 400 people a week.
But their birthday celebrations are bittersweet. They fear this could be their last year as demand grows and donations fall. Tim Scott joined the team at today's Breakfast Club.
Another busy Friday morning at Lifeshare's basement in Manchester city centre. The charity have been doing this for 40 years, providing hot food and a host of support services for the city's homeless population.
I come to this place because they help me get a shower. They're here, they're very good people, they talk to you, to make you feel welcome, they make you feel homely. They come to give you new clothes and all that, they give you a shower, give you food, you know what I mean, you can do whatever you need to do.
Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah.
Why is that?
Why? Because sometimes I might not have nothing to eat all day. Yeah, I know, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I've got something to eat. I can take a few bits and bobs away with me as well.
They helped me find accommodation when I had none, when I wasn't receiving benefits due to sanctions and other stuff. They helped.
Jazz Thomas is one of the many volunteers who work here. It's his way of saying thank you to Lifeshare for helping him when he was homeless.
I fully believe that I wouldn't have the life that I have, the foundation and security I have now, without Lifeshare's input.
But while Lifeshare are celebrating their 40th anniversary, their ability to continue their work is in jeopardy. Julie Vickers is the charity's executive officer.
40 years, but you do have fears for the future now, don't you?
It's bittersweet, really. I mean, I'll be brutally honest, there's fears that Lifeshare might not be here for Christmas. A lot of grant funding that we may have gone to have now actually closed and are not grant providing. The increase in the cost of living, so the cost that we're paying. When we originally sort of budgeted for Friday, we were budgeting for 75 people. We're now on 120 to 140 as a regular Friday.
With costs rising at every turn, it's feared Lifeshare may have to close for good, and they're now desperate for more donations from businesses and the public, because if they can't continue, it will mean no more hot food and support for the city's homeless, who will be left on the streets to fend for themselves. Tim Scott, ITV News, Manchester.
OK, let's see what's still to come on the ITV Evening News at 6:30 with Lucrezia.
Coming up on the ITV Evening News, the Prime Minister in Washington as global tensions build around the war in Ukraine. The BBC presenter Jay Blades charged with engaging in controlling and coercive behaviour. And legendary England manager Sven-Göran Eriksson is remembered by the biggest names in football. Join me for those stories and more at 6:30.
Next tonight, the brass band from Buxton, who've been holding a tune for more than 160 years. Yes, 160 years.
The Burbage band from Buxton really have seen it all. The village band formed in the Derbyshire countryside in 1861. One of the first groups to welcome women.
And stayed together despite losing many of their players in the First World War. Some even took their instruments with them.
Now, the modern day ensemble are celebrating their history with a special concert this weekend at Manchester's Stoller Hall.
Caroline Whitmore went to meet their musical director, who is also celebrating a milestone 40 years of brass banding.
At Cheetham School of Music in Manchester, and this weekend there's going to be an amazing show happening.
We're really excited to bring our show here to the Stoller Hall. I guess most people will have a recognition about what a brass band concert looks like and feels like, and this isn't it really. There's a brass band on stage playing music, but actually the show is about the story that we're telling. We have a narrator who will guide the audience through the history and the progression of brass band music. We're really excited to bring it into Manchester to this beautiful hall. Burbage band in Buxton was formed in 1861. Which makes us over 160 years old of unbroken history.
You're the longest serving member of this band, aren't you?
40 years. I've been the conductor for 30 and a member of the band for 40, and I joined when I was 6 months old, obviously.
I love that.
During the Industrial Revolution, in places like Manchester, you've got huge conurbations where people live in really difficult lives, and Burbage is a real good example of that. It's a quarrying and mining area, and the local quarry owners basically put money together to form this brass band in the community for the male workers, as it was at the time.
The band was one of the first to invite women to play as well, weren't they?
Our band was all male for nearly 100 years. Our first female joined in the mid-1950s. One of the first females to join brass bands, and we're very proud of that. Some of the very best brass bands in the country didn't have ladies in them until nearly the turn of the millennium.
Unbelievable, isn't it?
But that is the way society was.
Sarah, you're the Chief Operating Officer of Brass Bands England. What is your role?
We supported them with successful applications from the Heritage Fund and Arts Council England to make this a reality. In instrumental terms, brass bands are quite young, only been here for the last couple of 100 years, unlike a lot of kind of orchestral instruments.
So I'm the project lead for the Burbage Works project, which is a year-long historic-based project based around Burbage Band of Buxton. The oldest instrument we still have that still works. This was bought in 1913. So this horn actually went to World War I.
It's still in pretty good shape.
Sent it off to a restorer, and they've made it look really shiny and nice. So
Well, they've made it look really shiny and nice.
Yeah.
Best of luck this weekend.
Thank you very much.
Love that. A brass band that was ahead of its time.
She says they were young at about 200 years old, which makes me feel fantastic. Time for sport now, and Pep Guardiola says he's happy. The hearing into the club's Premier League charges starts on Monday. Here's David.
Yes, the beginning to the end of this ongoing saga finally seems to be in sight. City face 115 allegations of breaking Premier League rules surrounding their finances. Well, an independent commission will begin its work looking into those on Monday, but it's not going to be months before we get a conclusion. City deny any wrongdoing, and Guardiola says the players aren't talking about it.
No. I'm said that we are not lawyers. Erling is not a lawyer, no. So we didn't talk about that. What's going to happen, independent panel, and we're going to accept the sentence. I'm happy that it starts on Monday, and I know you will be more rumors and new specialists about the sentences that come up. Everybody's innocent, and guilt is proven.
Well, on the other side of Manchester, United's new signing Manuel Ugarte is available to make his debut in midfield at Southampton tomorrow. While over on Merseyside, Liverpool will look to make it 4 wins from 4 under Arne Slot. They play Nottingham Forest at Anfield. As for the Premier League's bottom club, Everton, well, their search for their first points of the season takes them to Aston Villa.
It's a hard football club to find calmness from before I walked in here, to be honest. And it's been like that ever since. And when you're cutting and trimming and cutting and trimming and trying to develop a team to win whilst you're cutting and trimming, it's a hard challenge, and trying to, offer answers to questions that have been here for a long time is difficult.
Well, ahead of the Women's Super League returning next week, Liverpool will make their first appearance at their new home ground this weekend. The team have switched from Tranmere's Prenton Park to now play at St Helens Stadium. They'll make their debut there on Sunday in a final pre-season friendly against Everton.
Yeah, I can't wait. Really looking forward to the new stadium, see the fans there. I think it's going to be a really exciting time for the club. I think it's a brilliant move. It's on this side of the water. And red seats, we're obviously red club, so I think it's very important too.
I just want to put on record that Prenton Park was fantastic. You know, it was a fortress for us, and I know teams didn't like going there, so that's going to be something that we need to replicate at St Helens, which probably will be our biggest challenge next year. But I just think it allows us to grow as a team.
Now, David Beckham has been among those saying goodbye to the former England manager Sven-Göran Eriksson at his funeral in Sweden today. The United legend was captain of the Three Lions under Eriksson. He was one of 600 guests who attended the service in the Swedish town of Torsby. Sven revealed in January that he had been diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. As a big Liverpool fan, he realised a lifelong dream by taking charge of the team at Anfield for a Legends charity match in March. He died last month at the age of 76.
Getting that winning feeling. FOW, sponsors of the Granada Sport Report.
In Rugby League Super League, Wigan could retain the league leaders' shield tonight if they beat Leeds and Lee win at home against Hull KR. Elsewhere, playoff-chasing St Helens are also in action as they host Castleford. Meanwhile, in the Davis Cup tennis in Manchester, well, Great Britain have lost to Argentina at the AO Arena. They trailed 2-0 after the US Open semi-finalist Jack Draper and Dan Evans both lost in the singles. It means GB can't win the tie, even if Liverpool's Neil Skupski and Evans win in the doubles. It's a group stage thing. They are back in action against Canada, where, fingers crossed, they can win that on Sunday and then get through to the finals in Spain later in the year.
Fabulous. Thank you very much, David. Now, where better to end the programme tonight than on the sunny, windy Lancashire coast, where all day today there's been quite the spectacle.
St Anne's Kite Festival has been in full swing, with kites filling the sky up where the air is clear.
Let's cross live now to Emma Jesson, who's very happy to be out of the studio, away from us. Emma, will you be flying one yourself?
I don't think I'm well enough qualified, Anne, but there are plenty here who are. Yes, as you say, this is the award-winning International Kite Festival in St Anne's, and I'm here with the tourism manager, Tim Dixon. Tim, this is my stomping ground, the Fylde Coast. I'm so thrilled to see so many people out and about enjoying themselves. We're in for a great weekend, aren't we?
We are indeed, Emma, and welcome to St Anne's. It's lovely to see you here.
I only live up the road, it's okay.
Yes.
Now, what is the furthest? It's not just locals that come. What is the furthest anyone's come?
The furthest for this weekend, we have some kite flyers who've come over from Canada this weekend. We got them from all over Europe and all over the UK, but Canada is as far as we've got.
Do you need a special licence to fly here?
You don't. It's part of an international association of kite flyers, so they have appropriate insurance and what have you, and they do it for fun. It's not a competition, it's just a great weekend at the seaside.
Oh, lovely. So anybody can come along and fly their kite this weekend, and I can see behind us we've got these magnificent colours. There's some real sort of characterful kites there. What's the most outrageous sort of character you've seen airborne?
So far for this, for today, I've seen a salamander of all shapes and sizes and colours, which has been fantastic to see. But we have blue whales, we have lizards, we have butterflies, we have all sorts of things. It's great to watch, great spectacle.
Now, over 12 years, you must have seen quite a few of those kites airborne as well. How many would you expect in the air at any one time, maybe?
At any one time, probably about 150 kites. We have 240 kite flies this weekend, so if the weather conditions are right, then we could potentially get up sort of 200 plus kites up at any one time, and that'd be a fantastic spectacle. It really would.
As you say, the weather conditions have to be right. So what are the optimal flying conditions?
For kite flying, it's 15 miles an hour to 30 miles an hour. Anything stronger will bring the big kites down. Anything that's lower than 15, can't get them up in the first place. So 15 to 30 and dry. We like dry weather because otherwise the kites are too wet and can't get up.
Yeah.
That's all we ask for.
I'll see what I can do. Not too little, not too much wind. And as we can hear very loudly behind us, there's a lot going on, isn't it? It's not just about the kite flying this weekend.
No, that's right. We've got lots of kite flying. We also have an RNLI open day. So the RNLI do fantastic work here in St Anne's and across the whole country. So RNLI have got their open day tomorrow. We've got the fairground. We've got an international sand artist called Manu who's come from Southern Ireland, creating some spectacular beach art just by the pier, so you can look down on that. But all the fun of the seaside, lots of food and drink.
Perfect, absolutely wonderful. And you did tell me early on that if you can't get to see it, there is a webcam where we can view this, so don't forget to go online and take a look at that. So let's see if we're going to have the weather for kite flying this weekend.
Have you burnt tea again?
I'm scraping the cooled oil into the bin, not the sink.
Can we eat outside? It's nice.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
So then, what's that I hear? It's the weekend knocking, but back to the forecast in just a second. First of all eyes on the skies, not just for these gorgeous, colourful dancing kites behind me, but for last night's aurora. So many of you saw it. You sent loads of pictures in. Thank you for that, because guess what? I missed it again. So beautiful to see those. There is a signal for it to appear again tonight, but I don't think we'll stand much chance of seeing it because it'll probably be too cloudy. So we dive into the weekend. Saturday's definitely the better day, bright tomorrow, getting a little bit breezier. Not such a great day on Sunday, and I'll show you why. So taking a look at the broader detail, we have a frontal band of cloud and rain that pushes northwest to southeast on Sunday. We're kind of sitting right underneath it. It's brighter either side of it, but there will be some breezier winds on that as it moves through. But then behind it, high pressure settles in for the start of the new week. It's going to be fine, dry, warm and sunny. That is the big thing you'll notice over the next few days. Over the weekend, we pinch off that cold Arctic airflow and those temperatures will start to recover. Back to the next few hours though, and if we just rewind, as you can see, some very decent sunshine around this evening. Pleasant, only light winds. Temperatures not quite as chilly as they were last night. We were down below freezing last night, so maybe still a touch of grass frost in places, but more isolated. 1 or 2 mist and fog patches, and nothing much more than that. Tomorrow then, here are your sunrise and sunset times, and then we are into Saturday, and it looks like being, as I say, a fine bright start. Maybe a little bit more cloud from the northwest, some of which will stick, and after that here's Sunday. We're under that band of cloud and rain, but definitely things perk up for Monday and Tuesday. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
It's a little bit burnt.
United Utilities sponsors ITV Granada weather.
Got to end the week on these lovely kite pictures, haven't we?
Absolutely beautiful, isn't it? That is the northwest of England, just coming into autumn. It's fabulous.
Have a great weekend.